First of all, Edgar Wright is one of the most incredibly notorious auteurs. His visual language um, is also is so extraordinary, but also the people who have worked with him. The moment you say Edgar's name, people say, "Oh, he's a great guy. He's really smart. He's really kind. He works with a lot of the same people that he's been working on for many years on his other films." He's just a magnificent director, and also he is all the things that people said he would be. He's kind, he's very collaborative, he's very smart. Bobby T is a showman. He is a showman's showman. He is in the center of this very, very famous show. And so I think that he understands the culture. He understands what people want, what excites people, and the shame is what excites people is violence. I think audiences will be conflicted with who they are rooting for, because I think that's the nature of this Stephen King experience. I think you should be rooting for the everyman, but then I think you also probably get sucked in to the charms of Bobby T at times. I think you get sucked into the system or the game or the fight or the chase, and then you realize that you're probably complicit by being an audience member as well. I walk onto this set and it's like, oh my, I couldn't stop laughing. I thought, this is supersized. This is huge. This is an arena. This is Gladiator. It has so much size. And then I was told that there would be over 300 background artists. I was able to really take in the fact that I had to have that much size to command this audience. And so that meant it was, I don't know if I don't know if it was a very conscious thing that they did for me, but it really helped me understand who I was in this world. Josh Brolin and I, we became blood brothers immediately. Like, I love that guy. I don't know, it's just something about he's very grounded, he's very honest, he's very funny, and he's very warm. I can also say that about Lee Pace. And I'll say this, I think Edgar, he knows how to bring people together. There's something that he has an instinct about that people will really adore one another. And I can tell you, I immediately feel like, oh wow, I want to know these guys for a very long time. I found a lot of new, really warm, loving, kind relationships. And I think that's thanks to Edgar and his leadership and the people that he brings around him.
I must have read the book when I was 14, but it really stayed with me. And I'd always thought aloud for many years that it would be interesting to do a new adaptation of the book rather than a remake of the 80s film. I was really excited about the idea of Glen doing the movie because I'd got to know him a little bit in the last couple of years and I'd enjoyed him in a number of films. And I thought what was really great about him is he had this sort of relatable everyman quality, but it was also interesting to take that, charming persona and put them in a really difficult situation. The subjective nature of the point of view in this was really important because I felt that that's what the novel is. The novel is entirely from Ben's point of view, and it felt like an incredibly intense experience because of it. We wanted to limit ourselves to our point of view in the movie, and hopefully I think it makes it a much more intense ride that you feel like you're on the show with him. Glen was more than up for doing as much of the action as possible. I think having worked with people like Tom Cruise, he could definitely see how that verisimilitude of being the actor actually doing the action can really make a film feel so much more tangible and intense. So Glen got into incredible shape and took it really seriously and worked very closely with the amazing stunt crew and his trainers and stuff to be able to do as much as he could in the movie. I've been a fan of his work and his name came up and I just thought, oh, he would be the perfect person right now to really just grab this part, between his teeth and just kind of go for it. And that's exactly what happened. We basically shot with Colman for 7 days and he just came in and just tore the roof off the place. And just to see the kind of the energy that he generates on stage. So I'm so glad that he played the part because I think he just lights the kind of film on fire whenever he's on screen. Just seeing Michael play that part was just so fun. It was great working with him again. I was really just happy. It's always nice when you see two different actors together who've never worked together before. But to see how well him and Glen worked together was like really entertaining to watch. So it was just a dream to sort of work with him again and in such a fun part. Having an actor who's very physical was really important. And I'd been a fan of Lee in a number of different films and I always thought that Lee was a really interesting actor because he's quite the chameleon. He's so charismatic that having somebody that charismatic play like a really dark character was really interesting. McCone is like the star. He's the lead hunter. He's kind of like a rock star and he enjoys kind of making his kind of quips upon killing people and he has different catchphrases. And so it was really fun to have this outsized persona within the movie. The thing that I was surprised and pleased about was that people seemed to take the blunt force nature of the film completely at face value. They didn't think any of it was outside the realms of possibility, and it felt like an exaggeration of where we are. I think, you know, the best of sort of sci-fi, and in fact a lot of Stephen King's writings is this, is it's like, it's an exaggeration of your fears. So there's a strange thing with the film is that like to make this film and it be based on a book that was set in 2025 and the events of the film, not a million miles away from where we are, was exciting and sort of disturbing in equal measure. What I love about sort of the film and people watching it is seeing, you know, our character go on this journey from everyman to revolutionary, and how expansive it is as a journey is the ambitious part of the film, but also I think that one that I'm really proud of.
When I first read the script of The Running Man, written by Edgar Wright and Michael Bacall, it felt weirdly timely. It felt like a movie that even though it was set, you know, in the not so distant future, it felt like a story that was happening right now. And I loved about how this was a story about a guy who is the ultimate underdog. Bobby T is the most charismatic and famous man in the entire world. Bobby T is played by the amazing Colman Domingo, who is the most charismatic and wonderful man. So you buy it. You know, there's something really fun about watching Colman, the way he occupies a stage. Obviously, he's one of the great actors of our time, and he's very comfortable on a stage. But I think what made watching Colman take on Bobby T, who's the host of The Running Man, what I found to be so fun to watch is the way that he commanded the crowd. This role would not be as layered and interesting in the hands of another actor. Josh Brolin literally feels like one of my best friends that I'd never met until this movie. He just loves this job. He loves his fellow actors. He loves his crew. What's so fascinating is Josh Brolin as a human is just the most empathetic, sweet, plugged-in person you've ever met. And yet he's playing a guy who's absolutely devoid of feeling, which makes him the scariest person to be going up against. Edgar and I have really developed a shorthand with how much we love movies. And that's what I think made this set really special is Edgar loves movies, I love movies, and we love it when movies really come together. He's put so much time and so much effort and thought into every single frame of this movie. And so getting to play Ben Richards and getting to live inside of this world was just incredibly special because Edgar's been one of my favorite filmmakers for so many years. I think Ben Richards represents all of us. He's not a superhero. He's a guy that wants to show up for the people he loves, and in this story, he does whatever it takes to show up for the people he loves. The action in this movie is nonstop because the reality is if the entire world is hunting one man, you better believe he is going to get his ass kicked. You are not escaping that show without some cuts and bruises. But I think one of the things that Edgar and I both really respond to as filmmakers is There is nothing like capturing it in camera. And so what Edgar and I made a pact of is, how can we do this thing for real? So I realized I had to put my body on the line to give the audience that experience, and I'm really, really glad I did.
Glen Powell I'd met, and I heard that it might be Colman Domingo, which I got very excited about because I had seen Sing Sing, and I'm just a massive fan of that movie, massive fan of his. I kind of look at the whole thing and I go, how could this do, and is it relevant to today? And the fact that Stephen King wrote it in I think it was 82 or 83, about 2025, and kind of portended all this stuff. And the fact that it's so relevant. What he wrote is so incredibly relevant. So we talked a lot about that. And then once I read the script, it's a fun character. Dan Killian is like every other network executive today. He wants to do well. He wants more. There is no ceiling to what he wants. There's only better. I think it's a kind of a typical greedy and responsible to the network man who has kind of an evil lurking inside him, but it comes across as something intimate, charming, and connective. I think he's very good at, Dan Killian, my character, is very good at kind of intuiting somebody else's needs and then playing into that in a very familial way. With Ben Richards, he sees somebody who's not only incredibly resilient, but incredibly angry. And anger can catapult somebody into surviving. He's perfect. He's a perfect contestant for what Dan needs in order to up the ratings. And you have to up the stakes to up the ratings. And this guy seems like he's going to get far. What's great about a story like this and a movie like this, having read the book, is that you have, an action movie, and then you get sucked in emotionally. I think it's the responsibility of a filmmaker to do that, just to see kind of a plateaued experience, and you go, oh, I see all this eye candy, and I see what they're going for, and they think it's what I want to see, and I think what people want to see and have is an emotional experience. They want to be sucked into the story. They want to be sucked into the lives of the people that are on the screen, and they want to care. Ultimately, they want to care, and I think it will be pretty impossible not to care about some of the people in this movie, except me.
When I got this script, I liked that it gives a look into kind of a modern dystopia that isn't so far-fetched and so far outside of the realm of our reality, not like super high-tech or anything like that. So I feel like it's easy to kind of place yourself there. But there's a bit of charm and humor to it. Glen's incredible. This is such a grueling schedule, and he's here every day, all day, and still has just this incredible attitude. So I love being around that energy, and I love working with him. He's got great ideas, and he's really focused and excited about the project. I think it's really hard to find that balance of being this just angry, aggressive person, but also being very lovable and relatable and a hero. And I think that Glen is one of the very few people that can do that. I think Glen is, he's got this charm and this sense of humor to him, and this lightness to him as well, where he can kind of tap into that vulnerability that this Ben character needs. There's so much happening, so many different parts of the world that we have to explore, and a lot of action that kind of bounces into humor and plays. It's a balancing act of like humor and being very serious. And I just think that Edgar's voice it's the perfect one to tell it. The Running Man has a collection of incredible actors, incredible characters, incredible action, such a fun world-building experience. And I think that it's going to be one of these unique blockbusters that is, it's not something you see every day. It's got personality, it's got heart, it's got feel, it has humor, it has everything you need of it in a cohesive story.
I've been a huge fan of Edgar Wright for years. So when he called and asked if I wanted to play McCone, I was super excited. So my first exposure to the movie was the script and not the book. And The thing about Edgar Wright is that he gets the tone so spot on. And he's taken what is, a very dark book, very kind of violent, grim subject matter, and I think made a really fun movie about it, if that isn't too much of a contradiction. Everyone behind the camera are people that he has worked with in the past, and me as one of the newcomers, it's been a really great experience to get pulled into that group of friends. I mean, it's such a privilege to be able to make movies. It's nice to be among a group of people that appreciate that privilege and enjoy the creativity of it, enjoy the opportunity to make something entertaining and put it out into the world. So I attribute that all to Edgar. I'm really excited for the audience to see this movie because I think that it shines a light on a pretty important, very contemporary thing. It's my belief that people are all just doing their best to survive and be good people, but it delivers the pill in an entertaining way.
I just would always be excited to be part of anything that Edgar does because he's just, there's nobody like him. You see all these images and that were not in your brain when you read the script, and you go, wow, this is everything that he brings to a script like this. It's incredible. Just the nonstop, just the chaos, just the barreling forward feeling of the whole thing. And it's something that I just can't wait to see with an audience and with people and just see for myself. You can always kind of credit the energy of a big movie or of a set to, kind of trickles down ultimately from the director and the lead actor. And there's just such a good energy coming from both Edgar and Glen on this. Working with, Edgar or any great director that you just feel lucky to be a part of their work. I think one of the best things about that as an actor is you just feel really safe. You have total confidence that you're part of something that is going to turn out to be worth watching. I think it's just going to be such a fun ride for audiences. I mean, there are certain movies that I'm so glad I saw in the theater where you feel like you're kind of on a ride with this group of people because you're all really in sync and just like totally in the palm of the hand of the movie. And I think this movie will be like that. I can't wait to see it with a big audience. It'll be fun.